The night I caught my CEO climbing through my apartment window, I thought I was about to lose my job, my apartment, and possibly my mind. She was halfway through the window, one hand gripping the frame and the other holding a small black bag, when I stared at her in disbelief. I tried to make sense of the impossible scene and finally joked that there was nothing in my apartment worth stealing. She paused, looked directly into my eyes, and smiled softly. Her answer changed everything. Maybe she had come for something she couldn't buy. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that one small act can change someone's life, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness SPAC. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this to you. My name is Daniel, and I had spent most of my adult life believing that people with money lived in a completely different world. I worked as a junior operations manager at a powerful technology company, where every employee knew our CEO, Victoria Hale. She was 34, brilliant, respected, and intimidating. She could walk into a meeting and make a room full of executives fall silent without raising her voice. To everyone at the company, she seemed almost untouchable. To me, she was simply the woman who had once noticed that I stayed late every night and asked if everything was okay. I had smiled and said yes, even though my life was quietly falling apart. My father had passed away the previous year, leaving behind debts and a small house that needed repairs. My younger sister was studying at university, and I was doing everything I could to keep her education going. I lived in a tiny apartment near the office, saved every possible dollar, and often ate simple meals because every extra expense felt like a luxury. I never told anyone at work. I was proud, perhaps too proud, and I didn't want anyone's sympathy. Then one Monday morning, everything changed. Victoria called me into her office and told me our department was being investigated for financial irregularities. Several employees were suspected of manipulating company records. I knew I had done nothing wrong, but my name appeared on documents connected to the problem. Suddenly, the woman I admired was looking at me as though she couldn't decide whether to trust me. I was suspended pending investigation. That evening, I returned home feeling completely defeated. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the unpaid bills on my table, wondering how I would keep my sister in school if I lost my job permanently. Rain tapped against the window and the city outside looked blurred and distant. I felt as though everything I had worked for was slipping away. Then I heard a strange noise. A hand appeared outside my window. I froze. A few seconds later, Victoria Hale, my CEO, began climbing through it. She landed awkwardly on the floor, straightened her coat, and looked almost embarrassed. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My CEO had entered my apartment through a window in the middle of the night. Trying to hide my shock, I joked that there was nothing in my apartment worth stealing. She smiled, but there was sadness behind her eyes. She quietly explained that she hadn't come to steal anything. She had come because she had discovered something that could prove I was innocent. She placed the black bag on my table and pulled out several documents. The financial records had been manipulated by someone inside the company, and the evidence showed that my employee credentials had been used after I had already left the building on multiple occasions. Someone had deliberately framed me. I stared at the documents, unable to speak. Victoria then admitted something that surprised me even more. She had initially suspected me because the evidence pointed directly toward my department. But instead of firing me, she had investigated privately because she remembered something about me that didn't fit the story. I never took shortcuts. I never accepted gifts. And I always stayed late to help other employees finish their work. She had started looking deeper because she couldn't believe the person she had watched quietly helping everyone could suddenly become dishonest. That night, we discovered that a senior executive had been manipulating company accounts and using employees' credentials to hide the transactions. Victoria had risked her own reputation by coming to me privately because she believed someone inside the company was watching her investigation. But there was another reason she had come to my apartment. She had learned about my father's debts and my sister's education. She had seen the sacrifices I was making and realized that I had never asked anyone for help. She told me that she didn't want to rescue me with money. She wanted to give me something more important, a second chance.